that introduction, Nikki, and good evening, everyone. It's great to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me to take part in this discussion. I think it's really, really important that we carry on with these kinds of meetings. They were great before September the 18th, and I think it's really important that they do continue. So thank you all for coming along as well. My name is Maggie Chapman, and I am co-convener of the Scottish Green Party. I am also one of the Green nominees onto the Smith Commission for further devolution, and I'm happy to. I'll talk a little bit about that, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Well, try and answer any questions that you might have about it. Our first full meeting is tomorrow, so we haven't actually formally met as a commission yet. The referendum has created a huge politicisation of the Scottish people. It shows that it's not, shows that it's not the electorate that are to blame for low turnouts. It's not about public apathy in low election turnouts. What matters is politics talking to people and talking the language that people want to hear. And I think that's a very clear message for us as politicians to take away from the last few months. People turn out, they engage, they are interested when it is about their day-to-day lives, when it's about what is being discussed matters directly to them. And what we see, I think, from the vast majority of people who voted on the 18th of September, whether they voted yes or no, we see a huge appetite for change. We see change that is not on Westminster's terms, but is on our terms for our futures. And I think, importantly, it shows that movement politics can work. And it will work. We've seen the beginnings of that already. The opportunity to create a new kind of politics, a different way of doing things, motivated so many people like no other issue has done recently. The ability, I think, of the Radical Independence Campaign, Commonweal, National Collective, a whole range of organisations to generate that mass engagement has been really, really significant and unprecedented in our politics in recent times. And that is why it's so good to be here tonight, to hear some of your ideas about how we can take our future, how we can make our visions and hopes reality. One thing that was clear to me during the campaign, when I was speaking at meetings with people like Colin, Robin and others, each meeting was full of energy. People were there to discuss politics. People were there to talk about the issues like EU membership, about what currency Scotland should have, and talking about these things because they care and they matter and they know about them. And I think that's something that really surprised the Westminster establishment, was how well informed the Scottish electorate were and how much they cared about some of these issues. And that goes against everything that politics has tried to do to us over the last 30 or 40 years. We've had decades of being told to shut up and stay in your box. You can come out once every 4 or 5 years, put a cross in a box, put a 1, 2 or 3 on a ballot paper, but other than that, go away. Thank you very much. And the referendum has changed that, and I hope changed that for good. And that's what we need to see, that continuation of that engagement. Greens and many others have been trying to create the spaces in which we can harness the energy, enthusiasm and expertise of all of you to create a better world for all of our citizens. And we've had some successes already prior to the referendum. We've seen, I'm a councillor in Edinburgh, and in Edinburgh we've started to get participatory budgeting, where communities actually decide how council money is spent. So it's not just your councillors who have that power. We've seen it on a much wider scale in Scotland with land reform and the land buyouts, communities taking control of their futures. And we need more of that. There is so much more we can do. Perhaps particularly because of the way the vote went last month, we need to be absolutely sure that you actually end up with more power than we have decentralised to communities. Jim Sillars often said during the campaign that on the 18th of September we were sovereign. But for me, and I think for many of us, a yes vote was only one way to achieve sovereignty, to achieve the kinds of transformations that we've been seeking. We've seen unprecedented engagement with political parties. My party, Colin's party, Owen's party, all seen huge increases in membership. And we must make the most of this. We need to use this engagement to transform our democracy. It's also clear that we need to work very hard on our vision of a new politics to engage people. That vision, that means rejecting the narrow and mean-spiritedness of Westminster, but also building on a new way of working, cooperation, not competition, all of us first. So we can oppose the destruction of our social security system, the impact of which we see on a daily basis. We can and must create a fairer Scotland, one which values every single one of its people. We could do this by arguing for not only the end of the atrocious welfare reform that's coming at us, but for things like a citizen's income, a fair wage for every person. We can oppose the war that Westminster has dragged us into, again with no democratic mandate. It is clear to me that Westminster is also using the conflict in the Middle East as a giant smokescreen for their failure to do what they promised on the economy, for their failure to deliver to each and every one of us. We can still be world leaders in a zero carbon economy, creating sustainable jobs that don't require the destruction of our planet and our communities. And of course, some of these things will be more difficult because of the result last month. Westminster will continue to plunder oil from the North Sea, destroying the economy and the planet at the same time. Westminster will continue to push fracking, accelerating climate change, destabilising our communities and damaging the environments where we live. We will now find it much, much more difficult to prevent billions and billions of pounds being wasted on nuclear weapons. We won't have control of our borders, so we'll be tied to the racist immigration policies handed to us from Westminster. Independence, as I said, was never the destination. It was a step on the way, and we'll now just have to go the long way round to get there. But we can still, and we must, build a fairer and socially just Scotland. And we need to work very hard to ensure that the Smith Commission delivers on the promises made to all of us. We have the opportunity to transform the Scottish Parliament, to hand more powers to Holyrood over taxation, so we can have a wealth tax, for instance, or a land value tax, so we can really redistribute wealth. We are seeking controls over a range of powers so we can re-industrialise Scotland, a green re-industrialisation, showing we can create an equal society based on renewable energy, good jobs, stronger communities. A Scotland that plays its role in making the world a better place. We will be using our position on the Smith Commission to put our opposition to Trident, to nuclear weapons, to fossil fuels and fracking, and to racism on the table. But just giving more powers to the Scottish Parliament is not enough. We need to share those powers with the Scottish people. We need more powers in our communities. And part of this has to be building communities into the political structures that govern us. So we need more people to get involved in the 2017 local authority elections. I know that seems like a long way away, and we've got 2 elections before that. But if we are really going to change our politics, it starts from the ground up. And if we can sort our politics out at that level, some of the other challenges that we face will be easier to deal with. So we must learn from where this kind of transformation is happening, where it's happening here in Scotland, but also further afield. We need to take our politics back. And that's something that Westminster cannot stop. Neoliberalism and the destruction it causes both creates and thrives upon a disengaged public. So that remains, I think, our greatest challenge. We have to keep engaged, because only then can we challenge the economic system that is not fit for purpose. We can create something different, something that puts people, not profit, first. And we can start by changing the way our workplaces function, for instance. If all workers had the right to buy out their workplaces, that would transform the way we functioned as societies. It would have completely changed what happened in Grangemouth at the Ineos affair a couple of years ago. Jim Radcliffe would not have been able to bully the workers the way he did. We have to get rid of things like Thatcher's anti-trade union laws. People must be able to organise in their workplaces and in their communities. And I'm sure other people will talk more about these kinds of things. But this is the kind of legacy that the referendum can have for us. And this is the kind of future that we have to remain engaged to create, because we all deserve better and we can get better. Thank you.